had the earlier services taking off from 1930, and some of the first flights were to Liverpool, and in the next 12 to 18 months there was a lot of development with services to Croydon, and KLM went very much behind with service to Holland. So that was the beginning of aviation in the Northwest. The very first of the country's airport hotels was a former farmhouse on this site, and for the life of me I can't work out why it was allowed to be demolished only about 10 years ago. I would have thought it should have been listed and saved for posterity. What they do save for posterity in each of these locks is the old tower of the hydraulic pumping station, and you've got a tower there on your right hand side. You'll see one at each of the locks that we use. It's just there for posterity. So Barton was the first airfield this end of the Ship Canal, and the little
Once it gets going, it goes quite quickly, doesn't it?
Same guy, but drives along.
How is it?
So I'd like to give you just a little bit more information about the proposals for this area of field holdings. What you see ahead on the left is the former Manchester Corporation Waterworks Davy Hume sewage treatment area, and the plan would be, if it goes ahead, to create a development on the right hand bank, in other words an extension to the airfield, and this is where they would create, well, some people have gone as far as to call it the new port of Salford, and ships that would bring containers in from the container terminal at Liverpool, or they might even come direct from the south coast. Felixstowe is one of the main container terminals. But that's a very different looking river Mersey to the one steelworks, and flew under this high level bridge we have here. And when he returned, we are told he was suitably reprimanded for his madcap folly. Well, madcap folly or not, same young man gave his life in the Battle of Britain just a few months later. A life. Thousands of people were treated in this way, particularly in the trenches of the First World War. And for the record, Robert Jones came back to Liverpool. He continued his orthopaedic career and then moved on to Oswestry. And if there are any people with us today from Oswestry, you still have in Oswestry an orthopaedic hospital that bears his name, and it's the Sir Robert Jones and Agnes Hunt Orthopaedic Hospital. But a man who went from the very, very early primitive stages of treating broken limbs to of all the railway viaducts, I think, is the Acton Grange, and we'll see that a little later. And that has been built with the Cheshire sandstone rather than the brick that we're looking at here. We're going to have a succession of swing bridges from now on. Some of them come very close together, and they are the normal transport for the local people here. The Knutsford Road swing bridge, and the Northwich Road and the Moor, and we get the access coming along the canal, and there are sort of operators of these bridges in situ. They are on call, they know when to expect us, and usually speaking we get sort of a trouble-free run, but not always.
Not always.
I can tell you that over the recent years the distillery has been selling 30 million units of gin and tonic in a can, which has gone to Russia, and they have been importing from Mexico and a premium Russian vodka, Kristallania, and they ship it from Russia and Mexico, and charcoal filtered and bottled, and it is now freely available in the UK. Last year the distillery produced 3.5 million cases of gin and vodka, roughly 11.5 million litres of alcohol, and you can you don't have to take my word for it, you will realise how important that has been to the Chancellor of the Exchequer, with import duty and the tax that they slap on at the supermarket shelf. To have the experience of the Manchester Ship Canal and the pleasure trips became a very well established routine, and boats not that dissimilar to this one of the Wallasey Ferries fleet were used, and the Snowdrop was the regular vessel, and indeed from day one. And then tugboats would often advertise shorter trips, not from one end to the other, with different sections along the way, and on a Sunday in particular you would find lots of boat companies advertising short excursions on the Manchester Ship Canal. Well, in the 1990s, this is a little bit now about Mersey ferries, but before I do that, just breaking off for a moment, on the left we've got a very good view of the Daresbury Scientific Laboratory, and you can see a grey tower. It's not a water tower, but it's part of Daresbury Scientific Laboratory, and I for one am a little bit confused by the different reports in the newspapers, because on the one hand you are hearing about government cutbacks and that they've taken £30 million away from the budget of the 3 government scientific laboratories, affecting the jobs in this laboratory. And on the other, you hear of the Northwest Development Agency, who have put new money in to create a scientific park, and there are, I think, about 50 small companies all engaged in important science